They told me if I didn't shut down the pump by sundown, the HOA would make me wish I'd never heard the word well. And, the way Marjorie Vale said it, like she was offering me a hand while kicking out my legs, it almost felt polite, almost. I still see her there, blazer, just so, not a hair out of place, standing in front of her backup two guys with the kind of faces that come standard with clipboards and a grudge, like they practiced their scowl in the side mirror before showing up at my gate. I just told them flat out, the pump's not going anywhere. And let me tell you, that was the match. That was the moment it all changed. My name's Eli Mercer, and I come from a patch of dirt at the end of a road, so old, even the crows get lost sometimes. Cedar Run, our little kingdom of leaning fences and sunburned ground, has been my family's anchor since my granddad drove a tractor the size of pickup through what used to be tall grass prairie. Out here, we fix what breaks, we haul water by hand if we have to. And if you want to find the history, just check the bends in the fence posts. They lean the way my grandfather leaned into every job. So when this HOA, all shiny with fresh letterhead and big ideas, decided their rule book trumped the ground under my boots, it didn't just feel wrong, it felt personal. Marjorie was perfect for the job, too. She had the kind of legal pad you could build a wall with, and she spoke like every word was carved in stone. She'd been voted in by folks who wanted flowers and rose and grass the exact shade of envy, people who needed something to organize because I guess their lives were too neat. That's not me. I do things the hard way because the hard way lasts. Now, my family's had rights to that well longer than there's been a homeowners board, at least according to the deed old as the hills, stamped by some surveyor who probably drank with my great-granddad. I kept those papers tucked in a rusty tin above the stove, cockroach-proof. And every time I made coffee, I could feel the truth humming above my head. The start of this fight? It was noisy and small. Marjorie at my kitchen door at sunrise, deputy's card poking out her folder, demanding compliance like we're talking about recycling bins, not the only water source for a working farm. She said it was about safety. I knew it was about control. I let her go through the speech while the drilling crew looked at me like I'd shown up to the wrong reunion. After she left, I found a bright notice stapled to my gate operations suspended, pending review. They thought they'd put me on ice. They didn't count on memory. That's the thing about old places. What's written down is just the tip of it. So I called up Marta Reyes 2 houses over. Her dog knows every rut in my field. She grew up here too, knows where the lines are supposed to be, the ones the county forgot about after the 70s flood. She brought a stack of old maps, some yellowed county ledger with Cedar Run misspelled in 3 different spots, and we sat there all afternoon, sun crawling across the counter, reading old cursive like we were decoding treasure maps. You want to talk about power? It's in the paperwork, the kind drawn up before someone decided to build a pool where the irrigation ditch used to be. The more we dug, the more we realized the HOA's claim was all paper-thin bravado. My rights were layered deep. Historical use, a grandfather clause, and an easement line that said public right-of-way clear as day. That little discovery, well, it changed the tempo. Suddenly Marjorie's letters started arriving with tracking numbers. Certified mail turned into legal threats turned into a demand for a new survey. And next thing you know, I got some guy at the gate snapping photos like the pump's going on Instagram. The day the county inspector rolled up, it was almost funny. Shoes too clean, uniform stiff as cardboard, scribbling notes without knowing the creek even had a name. He left, and that night, someone tagged "Save Our Trees" on the mailbox, Betty, sure, but it told me someone was scared. Then came the neighbors picking sides. Folks I'd shared pie with suddenly wouldn't look me in the eye. Some liked Marjorie's order. Others knew deep down she was running on power trips, not principle. Coffee shop whispers, petitions sliding across tables, rumors like dandelion fluff. Next thing I know, I'm waking up to cars idling down the road, cell phones aimed at my water pump like I'm running a circus sideshow. But here's where things tipped a twist I didn't see coming. My cousin Henry, lawyer by trade, third cousin by blood, but all Mercer when it matters, calls and says, "Eli, you got a real shot." He smells like old coffee and stubbornness, Wears his work ethic like a second skin. We file our own injunction, go after a declaratory judgment. Marjorie fires back with a storm threats of fines, contempt, enough paperwork to fill a barn. She showed up again, more fire in her eyes this time, accusing me of putting everyone at risk like she was Moses and I was the Red Sea. I just told her as calmly as I could, "I'm just trying to keep my family alive, Marjorie." She left with a smile that said she'd already won. Then things got nastier. The HOA hired a private surveyor, claimed they'd enforce community standards. That night, someone cut the padlock on the Valve House 2 doors, down never found out who, but the message was clear. This was war, and everyone was feeling it. The guys who worked for me started looking at the pump like it might explode, worried the county would come waving a foreclosure sign. Fear, I learned, doesn't always show up swinging. Sometimes it slides under your door at midnight, wrapped in legalese. The real showdown? Not some wild standoff, but a courtroom with the scent of old coffee and waxed floors. We brought everything: deeds, maps, affidavits from neighbors who remembered the well before Marjorie ever heard the word bylaws. She brought her tab binder, all confidence and color-coded sticky notes. The judge, a woman older than dust, asked me, "Why does this matter?" I told her about cattle at dawn, about the way water sounds when you've worked for it, about how land is more than just something you can sell. But law is law, so we argued details, easements, notice periods, the works. Then we rolled out the ace, a county map so old the ink looked haunted, a dotted line marking public right-of-way clear past my pump. Marta testified, told how she watched those surveyors lay pipe when she was a kid. Even Mr. Hargrove, who never leaves his porch, showed up with a ledger entry from 69-inch use of water shall remain. Not dramatic, but it was enough. The judge? She weighed it all, looked at me, looked at Marjorie, and decided we'd earned at least a POW C stay on the shutdown until a deeper hearing. Not a win, not a loss, just enough breathing room to make it through the next morning. Afterward, life wasn't all high-fives and handshakes. Repairs, awkward neighborly hellos, Marjorie trying to spin her loss into a community standard campaign. She lost some votes, gained a chip on her shoulder. In the end, we reached a messy settlement oversight, written conditions, but most importantly, I kept access to that pump. It's never clean when pride's involved. But you want the real ending? It's not in the paperwork or even the judge's words. It's walking the fence at dusk, flashlight in hand, finding that old pipe still carrying water like a stubborn promise. It's the cattle breathing in my elbow, the hush after a storm. That night, I sat on my truck tailgate and thought, this is what justice actually feels like. Not fireworks, just neighbors dropping by with tools, an old man bringing over peaches, someone fixing a busted gate without being asked. That's what holds a place together, not a rule book. Honestly, none of this was tidy. We didn't topple the HOA. They didn't apologize and throw a block party. I still see Marjorie at the store, and she's as sure as ever that she was right. That's fine, but Meth's point wasn't to embarrass anybody. The point was to hold the line, to remind folks that some things are worth the fight. So here's where I leave it, pump humming at dawn, deeds safe in the tin, and me wondering if what we call rights really just means standing up when it's your turn. What do you think? Does a community have a right to enforce uniform rules, even if it means bulldozing someone's history? Or should folks be allowed to carve out their own patch, no matter how messy it gets? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own battle if you've lived through one. And if this story hit home, tell a friend, especially the ones who live where the roads get thin and the fences lean for a reason.